city done well and things that he didn't do well. His parents were who? David and Bathsheba. And this was their what child? Second. Somebody give me the name of the first one. It's not named. See, I ask loaded questions sometimes. It's not named. We do not know. Of course, we know the child died right after birth, and we do not know the name. Solomon, though, means peaceful or friend of God. He was the most successful of Saul, David, and Solomon. His reign of 40 years has been described as the golden age of Hebrew history. He reigned from about 970 BC to 930 BC. That's about when he reigned. So it's been a few thousand years ago, hasn't it? Okay, he has written 3 books in the Bible, and they are Ecclesiastes,
most of
Proverbs, Songs of Solomon. Which is your favorite?
Song of Solomon.
Songs of Solomon. Interesting book, Songs of Solomon. Songs of Solomon kind of blows my mind. It was written completely different from the other 2 books. And when I was in school, I had to do a paper on the literary gene of the Songs of Solomon. I think it was, I hadn't forgot this, Bride. So you study that one a little bit, and you can let me know which one you think it is. And then David left Solomon with this. Let's look at 1 Kings. We're going to be in 1 Kings tonight. And I'm going to ask you to read from time to time. And 1 Kings chapter 2. 1 Kings chapter 2. Beginning in verse 1, now the days of David drew near that he should die. And he charged Solomon his son, saying, I go the way of all the earth, be strong therefore, and prove yourself a man. And keep the charge of the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes, his commandments, his judgment, and his testimonies. And it is written in the law of Moses, that you may prosper in all that you do, and wherever you turn. Verse 4, that the Lord may fulfill his word that he has spoken concerning me, saying, if your sons take heed to their ways, to walk before me in the truth with all their heart, with all their soul, he said, you shall not lack a man on the throne of Israel. So we see the promise has been made that if you'll follow God, you will be blessed. And isn't that a great thing that we can even remember today? But let's look at his success. The success of Solomon. What are things that we know about Solomon? Maybe one you haven't thought of. Turn with me to 1 Kings 3. And the verse is verse number 3. Somebody read 1 Kings chapter 3 and verse 3.
And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of his father David, except that he sacrificed and burned incense at the high places.
Okay, it starts off by saying, in the end, the latter part of the verse is not so good, but the first starts off good. And Solomon loved the Lord. Isn't that good? That Solomon loved the Lord. He makes mistakes, and we'll talk about those later on. But the first thing we need to remember is that he loved the Lord. And the second thing is that he does what? What does he ask for? Wisdom. Is wisdom important today? You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't know how to use it, you won't be too successful. You've got to use it. You've got to put that knowledge and have wisdom. And it's interesting. Let's continue in verse number 5. And Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, ask, what shall I give you? What shall I give you? God asked him the question, what shall I give you? Now, if you'd have been there, what would you have said? What would you have said? Remember we talked a while back about Nehemiah on Sunday morning. I talked to you about Nehemiah. And when the king asked him what he wanted him to do, the first thing he done was pray to God. And we know that he asked for the right things. Sometimes we need to pray to God. And here, what shall I give you? In verse 9, chapter 3. Therefore give to your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours? Man, he asked for an understanding heart. Understanding heart. How? Give me an understanding so I'll be able to judge correctly. You know, judging is sometimes difficult, right? It's difficult. Have you ever watched any of the judging on TV from time to time? You can see it on YouTube. The judges and the decisions that they have to make. I have a friend of mine, he's a judge. He's small, over small stuff. But you know, sometimes he has to make tough decisions. One time I was down there and we were talking, and he was talking about a tough decision that he was going to have to make, and it really wasn't going to make the police happy about. He said, but you know, they just don't have the evidence there. So he says, let me have an understanding heart where I can understand what the people need. Verse 10. The speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing. You know, God was happy with him. What could he have asked for? Verse 11, then God said, because you have not asked this thing, and have not asked for what? Long life. Riches. The enemies. Hey, let me take care of these enemies. And have asked for yourself understanding to discern justice. What a great, great question. And what a great answer that he said. And it pleased God. So we have to be, sometimes the old saying is, you got to be careful what you ask for, you might get it. But sometimes when you ask, and you can be able to give the right information. And then the third thing I want to mention about the success of Solomon is that he demonstrated wisdom. You know, you can have it, but other people may not know it. And I thought this was very interesting because it said there in verse 15 that Solomon woke, and indeed it had been a dream, and he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, offered up burnt offerings. And then the next thing that happens, two women come. What's going on? Somebody tell me the story. We've heard the story. Somebody tell me the story. Nobody wants to talk.
Two women had two babies.
Oh, what?
Two women had two babies.
Two women had two babies. Oh, that's great so far, but what happened then, Janet?
Well, one of them died.
One of them died and one of them was alive. And the one that had the baby that died switched babies, didn't she? And so what was they doing? They were kind of trying to decide which was the mother of the child that was alive. And which one claimed the child that was alive? Both of them, absolutely both of them. Both of them claimed the child that was alive. So what has Solomon got to do? He's got to make a decision, folks. Now this is before the day of DNA, right? So you can use DNA. Couldn't use that. Now, in his wisdom, was you smart enough to do what he done? I wouldn't have thought of that. I wouldn't have thought of that. I might have thought of a dozen things, but I probably wouldn't have thought of that one. Probably wouldn't have thought of it. What did he do?
Divided.
Okay, cut the baby in two, give one half to each one. Well, what was that going to create? Two babies that were deceased. So what? And one of them was for it, one of them was against it. So he figured out who the real mother was. Wasn't that brilliant? The mother of the baby that was alive was willing to give up her baby so it would remain alive. Here, let her have it. Awesome demonstration of wisdom. But notice what is said in the last verse of chapter 3, verse 28. And all Israel heard of the judgment which the king had rendered, and they feared the king, for they saw the wisdom of God was in him to administer justice. What is that saying to the people? What can they know about this new king they've got? What can they know?
He's going to make right judgment.
Yeah, make good judgment. They make good. Isn't that important that when somebody is put in a leadership role, that they make good decisions and they look at this and say, this man can do it. This man is from God. And can you see maybe the confidence now that the nation of Israel had for Solomon? The confidence that demonstrated. Word probably spread all over. It was on Facebook the next day. It was on Facebook. Everybody read about it. Well, no, it wasn't. Oh, they didn't have Facebook back then. Okay. But the word got out. The word traveled. They heard about it. We hear about all kinds of... How do we get news before TV and radio and all that stuff? That's before our time, wasn't it? So we don't know a whole lot about that. But word started out with radio, then it got on TV, and now we get it kind of instantaneously. So it was important that Solomon was able to demonstrate his wisdom so the people of Israel would get behind him. That helps him be successful as a king. It's always important that the people get behind you, and they were behind him. And then the next thing, let's look at 1 Kings chapter 6 and verse 1. And it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel had come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the month of Zeth, which is the 2nd month, and he began to build the house of the Lord. Okay. He's been a king for only a very short while. It seems like this was a next day thing, but it says here that it was in his 4th year that he began to build the house of God. What had they previously had? The what? Tabernacle. Right? Is that what you said? Okay. I can't hear sometimes, especially on this here. I can't hear good on this here. Okay. So David wanted to build it. That's his father. He wanted to build it. And he kind of prepared for Solomon to be able to build this. He could not build the temple. Why?
He was a man of war.
He was what?
A man of war.
A man of war. He shed a lot of blood. It was wars going on during that particular time. So God did not allow David to do it. But now Solomon comes in. What did we say was going on? There was peace in this particular time. There was peace. During his reign, there was peace. They weren't fighting all the wars that they'd been fighting when David was alive. Now, how big was the temple? How long was it?
66 feet.
How long was that? Somebody add that. 90 feet.
90 feet.
Yeah. We normally think of a cubit as a foot and a half. And then it was 30 feet wide and how high? 45 feet high. So we know how big the temple was. And we know all the effort that Solomon went in to build the temple. And what is something that impresses you about the temple? And I'll tell you what impresses me.
The amount of gold in it.
The amount of gold in it. I tried to look up, I Googled that, how much gold was in the temple. And I started multiplying. They give it to me in cubic ton. And I based it on $4,000 an ounce. And I come up with, some have said 5 billion. But I come up with nearly 480 billion. So your job is to go back and figure out how much gold is in the temple and let me know if you come up with the same figure that I did. So you can do that for your homework tonight. Okay.
Easily, by square foot, easily the most expensive building that was built.
That's ever been built. Yeah, it's not anything that's going to come close to that. So it was built. And then look in chapter 8. Chapter 8. In verse number 5. Then they brought the ark of the Lord, the tabernacle of the meeting, and all the holy furnaces that were in the tabernacle. The priests and the Levites brought them up. So they brought the stuff that was in the temple, the most holy place.